Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's episode we're on the Discovery 2 TD5 and we're going to be looking at the injector harness, replacing it with a brand new unit. So you might recognise the TD5 here from a couple of previous episodes. It's one of the guys who works here at LR Parts, and we're going to be looking at fitting a new injector harness loom. Now, if you know anything, if you've got yourself a TD5 or you just generally float about the forums, you'll know that there's an inherent problem with oil migration that goes from the injector harness all the way down to the ECU, which can cause loads of problems. So it's a known problem. And it's taken, I don't know, only like nearly 20 years for someone to actually come up with a solution for it. And that is a sealed harness. So I've got the harness over here. And this is a pretty inexpensive part. I think you're looking at about 50 quid with tax for this. And don't forget, everything that's featured on today's episode is going to be 5% off over the next 10 days. So if you're thinking of getting one of these for yourself, 5% off is a little bit of a treat. So you save yourself a few quid getting one on order. So this will pretty much look like the standard harness that's on here, and we'll have a look at that in a moment. But the key points are they've actually tried to seal the end piece here. So I don't know if you can see in there. So where the wires pass in, that's all been sealed up. So that won't allow any oil to migrate further down the line. So we're going to basically clean up what's on there. We've got some contact cleaner. It's not a tricky job. We've got to take the engine cover off, we've got to take the rocker cover off, and we're going to replace the seal and some of the location sort of seats, if you like, for the bolts to go back in. It'll all make sense when I go through it. But let's get stuck in and start stripping things away and have a look and see what we've got to work with. These do seem like overkill, you know, for just a plastic cover. There we go. That's a tight fit. Off she comes. Ooh, bit dirty, never mind. Let's just tuck that back there. Okay, all our little bolts are off. We should just be able to lift this straight off. Now, just make sure you've got nothing that's going to drop into the top of the engine. There we go. There we go. So you can see this is our loom. So this is the piece that we're going to replace. It's super easy to replace. We literally just need to remove it from all of these and it'll come off. So this is the harness connector here. So we need to disconnect that. Two little tabs either side. There. Now what I want to show you is the oil. Can you see in there? So if I get a cloth and wipe this, okay, you can see there is already oil in there. Okay, so we definitely want some contact cleaner in and around that. There you go. Lift it out. Oh, look at all that. So I think we're doing the right thing here. So if you've got yourself a TD5, wow, for 50 quid, get yourself this loom, because I think you're going to prevent a load of headache. So we've just got little push clips here, here, here. So we just want to push in and lift up. Oh, they are oily. Wow. So there's our old harness. That is full of oil. Don't know if you can see that. A little bit of a clean up. Now all we've got to do is just lay our new harness inside. So I'm just going to get a little bit of this oil on those O-rings. There we go. Push that into place. Nice and easy. And then quite simply just reconnect. I would say this is pretty much a very DIY job. You can't really tell, but this is definitely a lot more supple than this one, so I'm presuming this is going to give a much better seal. Now Mark said he doesn't want any gasket sealer on there, but I'd be inclined to put a bit on there because I've got a feeling that's going to drop. but we'll try it. If it drops, he's going to get some. Right, so let's see if we can get this in without it dropping. Nope. Right, I'm going to use a little bit of gasket sealer just to get it to stick in place, because I don't want it to drop. Like I say, it's just literally to try and get it to stick. If I put it in these, there's lots of nice channels at the front here, so it was tending not to be a problem at the top. Saying that, I bet if we don't do it, it'll drop as well. So let's put a tiny little bit just on here. Let's let that go off a little bit, and then we will drop it in place. Okay, right at the back there, we've got a little, I think it's an 8mm like it was on the top here. So I don't want to take it out, I just want to loosen it if I can. So if I can get on it, I can push it back out the way now. There you go. So this little half moon shape, that's got to locate in there. That's the bit that's tricky. So we can just get it under, which we can. I think it all survived. It has all gone in nicely, I have checked. And you know what? So it was a little bit, had popped out on the side here, but we got that in. The back's all good, and that half moon is in. We need to put an isolator in all the holes where we're going to be dropping the bolts back in. They've got a rubber bush, well sorry, a rubber washer, if you like, on the underside, and that's to prevent cracking that rocker cover perhaps. Let's drop our bolts in. I'm just going to start them by hand because I'm going to go around with the ratchet gun. I don't want them to cross thread. Now notice I'm going diagonally across. Just nip them up by hand. You can feel when there's resistance there. You do not want to shear these bolts off. I'm going diagonally, like as if you were lacing some shoes. Okay, so everything's buttoned up. We've got the cover over the top now. It's all ready to go. Hopefully it'll just fire up straight away, and that's the whole point of that harness. The other thing that I would recommend is fitting 13 brand new bolts, because they are a little bit fragile. And if you're going to the expense of replacing the gasket and the isolators, you might as well do the bolts as well. They're fairly inexpensive. Again, everything's listed below. To do this job, including the harness, you get 5% off the next 10 days. So that is definitely worth a little crack. Get in there now and get it while it's a bit cheaper. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. I'm sure you'll have some comments on how I've done the job. I'd love to hear them, and I'll catch you on the next one.